Welcome to Bass University Live, everybody. Great to have you with us. Going to be a great show. We've got Dakota Ebare going to be on the show today. Going to be talking about Prespawn, dealing with the early fronts. They had so much snow and cold weather coming in prior to the Toyota, where Dakota just had a top 3 finish there. Did really well. Just speaker for us and our Bass University in Texas as well. And is going to be a rookie in the Bassmaster Elites this year, but he is far from a rookie with a lot of wins already under his belt and $1 million in earnings at MLF already. So we're looking to, see some big things from him at the Elites this year. Looking forward to talking to him about that coming up here. But Super Bowl week, loving it. Our own Philadelphia Eagles had made it in again, second time in 3 years, and we've got the greatest running back in the league going for us right now. Of course, I'm picking the Eagles 34-29. I don't know why I'm picking those numbers, but that's what I'm picking. And
I like it.
What say you, Rich? Who you got?
I mean, I got to go Eagles all day. I would call myself just a casual fan. I know I understand the game. I played football for a long time. I think the Eagles have a really good chance at winning this year. God, I hope they win. The last thing I ever want to see is Patrick Mahomes win another Super Bowl. I don't care what you think, Dave Mercer. We do not need another Chiefs Super Bowl. So, go Birds. And, can't wait to see it.
What about you, JH? Are you a Taylor Swift fan?
Come on, PG. You know the answer to that. We're rocking with the Birds all day over here.
That's awesome. You got a score for us?
I haven't gotten that far yet. I need a couple more days to prepare for.
Got to study the analytics.
Yeah, I'm rocking with the Birds. I don't know what the outcome might be. I like our chances, but Mahomes, man, he finds a way to win those tight games, so it scares me a little bit.
Dude, him and Andy Reid are the two, the combo that is tough to contend with. But I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good game. And Hurts, I think he always shows up, and we'll see if we can put him down. But is Jocelyn with us? No,
Taylor Swift is fan.
I gotta know. I gotta know, Josh. You're a giant Taylor Swift fan? Are you going Eagle? And your dad, of course. All you guys are Eagles fans. Who are you picking?
Listen, you know how Mama Kelsey wore half Eagles, half Chiefs?
Yes.
I feel like you could be half Taylor, half Birds.
Wow.
We'll allow that. You could be.
I think that's acceptable.
Yeah. Well, because she grew up being a Taylor or
she's an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
So you're saying you would wear a half Taylor Swift shirt and a half Eagles shirt?
No, I'm going for the Eagles, but I'm still a Taylor
Our
Swift
friendship fan. Almost just went down the drain. But I know where your heart's at.
The Eagles.
Come on.
Good girl. Yep. Well, we'll find out what who everybody's rooting for. Who you guys rooting for? Who you think's going to win? That are watching the show. It's going to be a fun game. For usually they're blowouts, but a lot of times they can be, and that's terrible. I don't think these teams will ever let that happen. So I think we're in for a good one. But Jocelyn, why we got you on here? What's happening at Bass University? We're going to be going to the Classic pretty soon.
We will be. We'll be at the Bassmaster Classic. We are getting our booth actually is coming out this week, so we'll know our booth number and we'll get it to everyone and come visit us for some goodies.
Come by and get some goodies. Hopefully, you guys are making it to the Classic. It's going to be a great Classic. It's a great body of water, and we love
great crawfish reports, Pete.
Have you been getting some?
Yep. My Facebook groups are telling me that they are. It's improving since the last time we were in Texas. So
in March,
this is great news.
This is great news for you guys. I think it was Goddard. Of course, they're down in Louisiana. They they were talking about the crawfish boils that they've already had since they got into town.
They
I'm
better be
liking their
careful.
chances even better. The birds are having crawfish boils. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we know we're going to be having ours down there. Hopefully there'll
Mhm.
be some left by March, after the Super Bowl crowd gobbles them down.
Jim F. said he's in Florida, but he's originally from Cherry Hill, New Jersey for over 3 years. Go Birds.
Go,
30 years.
Go, Jim.
30 years. What did I say?
3.
30.
I want to give a shout out to Nick Mayberry, Howie Range, Kevin, Frank, Tim, over on the chat board on Bass U. And if you're not a Bass U member, we got a Bassman special promo going on right now. 4 Bassman spinnerbaits. You sign up for Bass U. I don't even got mine here anymore. The show like I did last week. I put them in my boat and locked them away in safety compartment so nobody can steal them.
Nice. I'm taking this time because it's cold. We've got 12 inches of ice on some lakes around our house still. So I'm taking some time working on my garage, getting tackle organized and getting the boat tight, getting ready for this thaw out, which is good. It looks like it's going to happen fast the way that it's going right now. But we're just want to give a shout out to a couple people because I was at the Great Outdoor Show in Harrisburg, PA. A lot of you, Jim, you from Cherry Hill, you probably attended that show. In the Northeast, it's probably the biggest show that there is hunting and fishing and outdoors. And want to give a shout out to Jose from Doc's Tackle, who was really hung out with us. Jake and Max, his partner, his high school team partner, attended the show, and they talked swimbait fishing for hours. So it was fun. It was fun going to the show and watching Jake enjoy that. I've been doing that for 30 or 40 years. It's probably my 40th time I've been, and it was Jake's first. So that was very cool. And I appreciate you, Jose. And Doc's Tackle, dude, they're right south of Lake Cayuga. And the guys there, one of the guys had a 29-pound bag out of Cayuga Lake this past season on largemouth. Just amazing fishery. One of the big concerns up there, though, guys, and we got to get our eco bass angler on it and we want to talk about it, is the killing of the aquatic vegetation on Cayuga Lake and some of the surrounding lakes is really impacting the fisheries up there. And I want to get involved. I want to learn more about what's happening, what they're doing, and how we can help that fish, because it's putting out giant fish. You remember, Rich? For years we could catch nothing under 3 pounds on the Chesapeake.
Yeah.
Every time you set the hook, it was a big one. You remember that too, Justin. But now we got a really well-rounded population of fish down there. Well, Cayuga's going through that right now. It's all top heavy. It's 3-4 pounds and up, and no small ones. And it's, I guess the easy finger to point is at the destruction of the aquatic vegetation, which is causing those troubles. So we're thinking about you guys. We're going to be working on this project a little bit and working with the folks at the ASA, see if we can get involved and bring some awareness to it and help out up there. Because that place is unreal, man. When it's healthy, there is no lake on the planet like it. But anyway, it was good to see those guys. It was good to hang out. Mega Strike, shout out to Bobby at Mega Strike. He's probably working his 40th show there. Great outdoor shows. Good to see him. Of course, you probably deal with him too, Jocelyn, for the Ike Foundation.
Yeah, he's always great. He always donates a basket.
Yep.
Didn't win nothing.
Guys,
Justin didn't win anything.
Yeah, the Ike Foundation event happened this weekend. You guys were all there. How'd it go?
It was a really great event, and there was a lot of money raised for scholarships. So we're going to be giving out some scholarships, I believe in April. But we had some really great baskets, and someone's going to be fishing with the dean, and someone's going to be fishing with Rich.
With the Riz. I've been on both. I've been on both.
Yeah, boat ride, Justin.
With you guys.
Sources have confirmed that they have zero interest in fishing. They just want to go for a boat ride on the Chesapeake. So we're setting that up. We're gonna borrow a bay liner from Keith Cowan, and her and all her friends. Chesapeake.
There you go.
Yep.
Dude, what you got to do? You got to do a poker run.
Yeah,
that's what we're gonna do from the mouth of the Northeast out to the Susquehanna, down to Middle River. We're gonna cover some ground.
I'll give you some angler's coffee to give them.
Perfect.
Yeah, I've been on both your guys' guide trips and didn't win, so pretty disappointed. But
Justin came up to me at the dinner and was like, "I just bid on Pete's guide trip." I said, "You guide with him all the time." He goes, "No."
Oh, we were going. If I won, we were going up to Ontario for a day. I was going to make sure it was done right.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right.
Yep, that would have been a nice one.
Some Prespawn.
I don't know who won. I saw an image of the person who won my trip, so I look forward to getting out there and fishing with them sometime in the near future. So yeah, it was a great event. If you were unable to attend and want to help out to the scholarship program, you can donate at ikefoundation.org. You can go right there and throw some cash our way to help the kids as they're going down their college path. So great deal, guys. Great event. And I'm looking forward to, I got an event coming up at Pure Fishing. I'm going to go down to the Berkeley facility in South Carolina. I don't know what we're going to do down there. It's been very secretive, but I think there may be redfish on the agenda. So that's going to be fun. Look forward to that. I'll keep you guys posted, and we'll take some pictures for social. So with that being said, guys, man, we got a great guest. You guys all met him and worked with him at our Texas Bass University, and man, he is on an upward trend in this amazing sport. So we're looking forward to having Dakota on and talking a little bit more. Guys that you're watching, you know what it is like this time of year. The cold fronts come through. The water temperatures never seems to move fast enough. Conditions change. Got to make adjustments. What adjustments do you need to make? What problems have you guys faced? Let us know, and what questions you might have for Dakota, because this is the time. This is probably the trickiest time of year to fish, because we're also like we want to be up on the bank, burning chatterbaits, but we know how it can be. So we'll pass your questions along to Dakota. So without any further ado, let's bring our man of the hour on the show and dive in. There he is. It's so crazy to be calling you a rookie on the Bassmaster Elite, because you are actually not, man. You're a tournament champ with $1 million winner already. But it's great to have you on the show today, buddy.
Yeah, man. Thank y'all for having me as always.
Oh, you bet. It was great having you in Texas. And of course, for those of you that are subscribed to Bass University, you've seen Dakota. He's done work with us. We filmed him at a variety of places, and it was great to have you down to Texas. And we're excited to have you there, but I'm really excited about what you got coming up, man. It's like you've made a big monumental decision. You went through the gauntlet of the opens, and you punched your ticket to the elites. How you feeling?
Man, I'm really excited about the year. I'm thankful that I don't have to go back to that opens gauntlet, because I don't want to ever have to do that again. I've told the guys that, and look, my hat's off to those guys that are out there grinding. They've already had one event. They've got an event coming up here at Sam Rayburn in a couple of weeks, and man, that is just some of the most talented anglers in the world shooting it, an all-out shootout, just trying to qualify for the elites and qualify for the classic if they win one, and just a great group of anglers, and really challenged me and made me better, honestly. So it was a good experience. It really was.
Yeah, that was 9 tournaments. Oh my gosh, that had you running and gunning. When was the pressure the most, like coming down to the last few events, or was that nail biting for you?
For me, the pressure was the most after the bad event that I had at Leech Lake. I dropped to like 8th in points there, and that was that was whenever things kind of, it was going pretty good, really. I'd say the pressure was the most at the beginning at the first event, and then it was it was just as bad there towards the end. But throughout the middle part of the season, everything was kind of going good. I stayed in second, I think, all year in points until Leech Lake, and then I bombed, and everything got really tight, and that's when the pressure really, set in, and I realized like it was put up or shut up time. So that's whenever it really got down to the grind.
What was left after Leech?
We went to we were supposed to be, I think, at Hartwell, right? And then they got moved to Lake Martin.
Oh, okay.
So, actually, there was two, right? It's all blurred. But we went to La Crosse, Wisconsin. We went to the Mississippi River, and then we left there. And the last event was in October and ended up being at Lake Martin. So those final two events were the really tough ones. And I had a good event at La Crosse. Like, I didn't have a bad event there. I think I finished, I don't know, I got to check, or whatever. But the points really didn't change much. Like, everybody, that's the thing. Like, those guys are so good. Like, everybody that had been catching them all year kept catching them. So, like, the points just stayed super tight throughout those last several events of the season, and that's whenever it was pretty daggum stressful. The 9 events is not really that really was not what got me. Like, I'm used to fishing a bunch of events, but the stress of dealing with that anxiety from January until mid-October of like whether or not you're going to qualify for the elites and dealing with that for the course of 10 months, that's what what wears you down.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's just that chronic pressure that just never.
Yeah, it didn't, and I put a lot of pressure on myself because I'm very fortunate to work with some of the best companies in the industry, they supported me through that journey and that transition of trying to qualify for the elites, but I felt like it was my obligation to get back to the highest level of the sport as quickly as I could to be able to do the best job I can for these companies that I work with, Bass Pro Shops, Nitro, Strike King, Lose. They believed in me to take that chance to qualify for the elites, and I felt like it was my obligation to make sure that I made it. So I just put a lot of pressure on myself to making sure it happened in 1 year, and it was stressful, but it made me a better angler on and off the water, and I'm very thankful for the experience, but I don't want to have to do it again, and I'm looking forward to competing on the Elite Series this year.
What was it like down at Martin? Like, you're sitting in 8th, you got to catch them, or pretty close to that. What was that situation like where you did?
Yeah, that was, because the points were so tight. Like, I think mathematically I could have finished 15th and not qualified. Like, I could have literally finished like 15th if everybody if everybody like. It would have had to been a perfect storm, but there was mathematically I could have finished like 15th and not made it, somewhere around. So, and then like Martin was fun in a way because you could get a lot of bites. It's always a fun fishery. I mean, just so many bass in that place, but catching quality is the key part of that equation, and that can be kind of hard. But there's a lot of fish in the lake, but by the time, after 5 days of practice at Martin, by the time the first day of the tournament hit, I got to the point where I was like, look, man, it's going to be what it's going to be. I've got to go out there and do my job, go fishing and have fun. If I do that and it's meant to be, I'll qualify. I'll have a good event. If it's not, I've done all I can do at this point. So I kind of at that point just took a deep breath and went fishing. And went and threw a topwater for the first 3 hours of the morning, kind of gambled on day 1 of the tournament. And instead of going to, an area where I could for sure get a lot of bites, I went and gambled and threw a topwater all morning, a big topwater at that, trying to get a big bite. And I'll be dang if I didn't catch a 4-pounder, which was a huge one there. And I knew whenever I caught that fish, like that was it. At 9 o'clock on day 1, when I caught a 4-pounder and I was at already 11 pounds or so for the day, like I knew, like, all right, like we can do this. This is it. Yeah, that feeling right there.
Man, I'm feeling that with you. Like, oh my gosh, they were so fortunate because that 4-pounder could have come at the end of day 2.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that was the key was, if you could just get one big bite in that tournament, it would separate you like a huge amount because the weights were so tight. And so to be able to get that at 8:30, 9:00 in the morning, whatever it was on day one, man, that was just such a relief. And it just really allowed me to I changed up everything I was doing. I went through a jig the rest of the day around laydowns and stuff. And I hadn't even practiced that way, but I knew at that point, I was like, well, I've had a really good day. Let's go try to get another big bite or two. And it was able, I was able to cull up several times and put me in contention to win the event. And, that's what you have to do to be successful in this industry, in these tournaments against anglers that are so good. The conditions are changing daily. And a lot of times, you can be successful doing something that the conditions didn't line up for in practice, or maybe you didn't even practice, but you just have to keep an open mind in these tournaments and be confident making those game time decisions. And I think those kind of decisions are what separate, anglers from having a chance at winning and top 10 and then barely getting a check, And as my career has progressed, I've become more comfortable making those decisions. But it's hard whenever the pressure is on the line and you can punt and go catch 8 pounds out deep, or you can go throw a top water and throw a Hail Mary, basically. It's gambling, man. It's calculated decisions, but it is a gamble at the end of the day.
Man, that's awesome that you brought that up, because Rich, you and I were talking about this. This is the magic, making those decisions. And we were talking you just came back from Rayburn. I mentioned it. You got 3rd place down there. Rich, that was an amazing tournament because he had amazing adjustment, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Dakota, looking at that tournament on paper, something fundamentally happened between day one and day two. During that pre-spawn time where conditions are changing, the fish are changing, there's a lot going on. What was it for you between day one and day two that took you from a 16-pound bag to the next day backing that up with a 26-pound bag?
Yeah, that's something I'll say about Sam Rayburn that has really kind of prepared me and helped me be successful in my career all over the country, is that Rayburn is as volatile of a fishery as there is. It's always changing. Very rarely do I ever catch fish in the same way or the same place from year to year at Rayburn, or even sometimes from week to week. I mean, it just changes so much. It really does. And a lot of it has to do with the pressure. I mean, there's constantly just parking lots full of tournament boats there on the lake, and they're all good fishermen. And with technology and everything else, the fish get a lot of pressure. They really do. And so it's always changing. So fishing here at Rayburn for the last several years since I moved here in 2017 has really taught me to be comfortable, making those adjustments on the fly, because a lot of times you won't have success here at Rayburn if you try to go back and duplicate something you did the day before. And that was no different this week or last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, at the Toyota Series at Rayburn. We had water temperatures 46, 45 degrees at one point, 47 degrees, depending on what graph you had. And I'll be honest, I've lived here since 2017, and I've only seen the water that cold one time since then.
Wow.
And whenever the water gets that cold here, it gets pretty tough. It groups up big ones, but it's kind of feast or famine, and the weights show that. But, the temperature didn't really bother me or affect me as much. I practiced daylight till dark on the 3 days prior to the event. Well, not 3 days, because we had to be off the water at 2. But so the really cold days, the snow day and all that stuff, I stayed on the water daylight till dark. I had the right clothes on. It wasn't really that big of a deal. I took my Cabela's hunting clothes, followed them on, and I went fishing. And it was great because I had the whole lake to myself. The problem was the wind. I mean, the wind was really ripping as that front was blowing through. We had all the snow and ice and everything. But the wind really kind of kept me from looking at some of the areas that I really want to look at. And so on day one of the tournament, we actually had pretty decent conditions. We were on a warming trend. We didn't have a lot of wind. It was actually a really nice day to fish. But I had to pretty much go into practice mode. And so day one, I really just went into practice mode. I ran through some areas, checked some stuff, and just kind of fished with an open mind. I had some ideas of things I wanted to look at, but Rayburn is all about timing. I mean, you can be in the right place at the wrong time and never even know it. I mean, you can be around a 40-pound bag of fish, and if you're not there at the right time, you would never even have a clue. I mean, it's just such a timing deal, you know. And so day one, I really just, like I said, went into practice mode, ran some water, covered a ton of ground, ton of water, and really was just looking for how I could potentially end up around the right fish on day two, truthfully. Because, you know, Jason Bonds and I talked about that, during practice. He's another local angler that's really, really good here, been successful here a bunch. I knew the tournament didn't necessarily have to be won on day one. You know, with the way the lake was changing, with the warming trend and everything, if a guy found the right fish during the event, he could win the event even if he wasn't leading on day one. And I gave myself an opportunity to do that. I just unfortunately was one big bite away from coming back and winning the event. But that's kind of how my practice went and how the first day of the tournament went. And I seen some things that I really liked in a couple different areas. And I was able to kind of be at the right place at the right time on day two. And that's whenever you seen the big bag, I had 26 and a half.
That was awesome. Giant bag. And you know what I noticed is you were holding up a crankbait and and an Alabama rig. There it is. And not a jig head minnow.
No, I didn't weigh in any big ones on a minnow. I didn't. I had opportunity to. I had a couple big ones miss a minnow, like just didn't get it for whatever reason on day two. You know, I was actually really disappointed in day two. I mean, really disappointed. And I know that's crazy to say, but 26 and a half is nowhere near what I had the opportunity to have there at that spot. I had 3 7s, a 4, and a small one that I caught at a different spot. I left the place where I caught, you know, the majority of my weight with 4 fish. And like I said, I had 3 7s and a 4. But, you know, I was at a place in a spot at the right time where I had an opportunity to have probably the biggest bag of my life. And it really is a bummer because you don't get that opportunity ever, you know, hardly. And whenever you do get it, you want to maximize what you're, you know, what's there. And because I don't go to places like that on this lake on any days other than tournament days, or maybe I might slide through there whenever I'm practicing, you know, but I'm not going to, probably won't make a cast. If I do, I might put my troll motor down, live scope around a little bit, throw an Alabama rig out there. If I get one's attention, I reel it back in. I don't go and catch those fish on any other day other than tournament day here. There's, you know, places where magic can happen on this lake and really on any lake. Toledo Bend's the same way. All of these East Texas lakes that are so good. But I'm not just going out there with a 6XD today because I can go catch some 8-pounders, even if they are there. Like, I'm just not going to catch those fish in any other time. I don't want nobody to see me there, for one. Number two, they get enough pressure as it is because, I mean, I'm not the only guy that knows about some of these fish. And there are people that'll go out there just for fun and go catch them. And I don't condone that, but it's just not what I'm going to do, you know? So whenever I didn't maximize that day and catch what probably was there, I was really kind of bummed out about it. I mean, I really felt like I could have had mid-30s for sure. I had several more really, really big fish run through my Alabama rig. We could only throw it with 3 hooks. And I mean, they were really, really big, very, very big fish. And I'm able to, you know, I could kind of tell their size based off that Garmin that I'm running. And we're definitely 7+ pounders. I had several more fish just run through my A-rig with 3 hooks and not get them. And then I had a couple that I just short struck that minnow that I was throwing a little bit and didn't catch them. But either way, it was a good day.
That's awesome. What did you see? Like, what they're chasing that Alabama rig and they're just, did you feel them? Were they hitting the dummy baits or
yeah, they would just run through it so hard, you know, like, and it was a wolf pack of them. You know, it was a wolf. I don't know. There was probably, I would say 10 to 15, you know, in that group. And they were all, you know, really big, you know, I mean, really big. I mean, I watched a couple of the 7-pounders eat that Alabama rig, and there were some that followed it and that bit it that I didn't get that were considerably bigger than the 7s. I'll say that, you know. But it was basically just a wolf pack of fish in a traditional Texas drain. You know, they use these areas to ambush gizzard shad early in the morning. That's what I'm looking for is gizzard shad, and they'll group up and they'll feed really heavily first thing in the morning, and then they'll disperse. They'll scatter. It's like a covey of quail, man. They'll be gone. It'll happen. They'll leave as quickly as they show up. And it's kind of a phenomenon. I don't think a lot of guys really understand it. I don't know that I fully understand why and how. I know kind of what to look for. And it's just all about being in the right place, right time whenever they decide to feed. I have found them like that later in the day at times, but most of the time it's a first thing in the morning thing. That's no secret here at Rayburn. It's a time of the day whenever they group up and they feed.
So how do you set your day up in the pre-spawn? Like this time of year, you know, when you said you can be in the right place, wrong time, like are you almost setting up a rotation for that key morning time and then a second rotation, like a second program for later in the day? Or will you revisit some of those places that maybe you checked in the morning throughout the day? Or like just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, like the biggest thing, I want to run high percentage areas whenever I know it's got a chance to be good, especially early. Like it's hard to predict when it's going to get good late in the day because generation schedule at Rayburn is somewhat off. Like they'll pull water pretty heavily, but there's not really any way of truthfully knowing that. It's kind of a random thing. I guess you could watch the Corps of Engineers site, but I haven't been able to really dial that in. And I don't know, sometimes I think that definitely does help. You know, wind current's a big deal here. You know, it's a huge lake. Wind current definitely does affect them and set them up at times. But it's hard to predict when they're going to really feed, other than I know somewhere in the morning they're going to be feeding. Like that's the only concrete variable that I can kind of put into the equation and know I need to be in the right place at the right time before 9 o'clock or so. And so I try to run as much water as I can with this Strike King 6XD early in the mornings, just covering water until I find the right group of them feeding where they want to feed. And that's kind of like my pre-spawn wintertime kind of deal. And I've talked about that. A lot of these fish will pre-spawn and winter somewhat in the same areas. Rayburn fish is pretty shallow, relatively speaking. I mean, typically 18 foot or less is kind of where I spend most of my time. Contrary to popular belief, I know most people think that it's just funny. Like everybody thinks that I'm out live scoping with a minnow like 24/7, and I don't really even do that very much here. Most guys, and I hate to say this, but I shouldn't say this, but most guys that are out live scoping with a minnow here at Rayburn are not even in contention to win. I mean, now I think the tournament was won on a minnow, but they weren't doing what most people were doing with a minnow. You know what I'm saying? So it's just for whatever reason, it seems like the gizzards, no matter how cold it gets, a lot of times there's a lot of gizzard shad up shallow. When I say shallow, I mean 18 foot or less. And that's where it seems to me that a lot of those bigger class fish want to stay. So I run as much, to answer your question, long story short, I run as much high percentage stuff as I possibly can early and then let's say it's tournament day, like I will float back through some of these areas and try to find, that's whenever I kind of will rely on my live scope a lot. And I'll look for individual fish that I know are kind of still maybe hanging around those areas.
Interesting. I want to learn more about gizzard shad, right? That and yellowtails, they're the shad, right? And we're constantly wanting to study those because, especially now with forward-facing sonar, it's more about the bait now than it's ever been. But the gizzard shad, what is it? Like the coldest days I've ever had, like on Gunnersville, I remember being in 5 feet of water or less, in gizzard shads all over the place.
Yep.
They like the cold. They like the shallow water and the cold. Have you experienced that?
I have. Yesterday, I took a guy out that on a trip, and we were throwing a red eye shad up shallow, in 5 foot of water, and he foul hooked a gizzard shad that was probably 12 inches long, in 5 foot of water, and the water temperature's, just now getting back into 50, and that's why there's always a good red eye shad bite up shallow, or vibrating jig bite up shallow at Rayburn, because those gizzards live up shallow. They just do. At Gunnersville, I see, you talk about that. I've done really well there in the fall, throwing a minnow or throwing an A-rig or throwing a big glide bait, but throwing it over 30 foot. But those gizzard shad are on the surface, so it's like, even though they're over open water, they're still up high in the water column. They're still close to the surface. So yeah, I'm no gizzard shad expert or anything like that, but they definitely seem to want to stay in either shallower water or close to the surface a lot of times here in East Texas, or at Gunnersville for that matter. So it seems like, and the other thing is too, I've seen gizzard shad spawning like on bluff walls at Texoma when the water temperature was like in the 50s. I'm assuming they looked like they were spawning to me. They were all doing what they do up against bluff walls. So that's another thing. I think the gizzard shad spawn earlier than a lot of the other shad from what I've seen at times. And so I think that's another big player into the gizzard shad bite here at Rayburn that a lot of people don't understand or realize, is that I think sometimes they're spawning on these hard spots, and I think that creates the perfect storm, and that's also what contributes to that early morning bite. That's just kind of my hypothesis. Now, do I think that gizzard shad were spawning? And actually, let me say this too, which is really weird. This is kind of contradicting everything, but that area, that I caught those fish in, I didn't, like I said, get a chance to practice there. But whenever I caught them there on day 2 and on day 3, that I didn't see a lot of gizzards in that area. But I know they're coming. Like, I know they'll be there. Like, if I went and graphed there right now, I bet you there was some there. So it's almost like the fish were waiting for them to get there, kind of deal. So that's kind of interesting.
It is interesting. What are you throwing that 6XD? Like, what habitat? You're talking about drains, but are you fishing the points of the drains, the timber next to them? Like, what's your target with that bait?
It really varies. At times they want to be on the corners of them, on the points. At times they want to be in the drains, in the back of them. I think the day just varies, depending on the pressure, the temperature. When I say the pressure, I mean the barometric pressure, the temperature of the water, and this and that. But the drains are essentially just highways, man. It's just a highway. It's a traveling corridor, it seems like, for fish from point A to point B, from when they're going to spawn to where they're going to spend the summer or spend the winter. So it really just, the drain, just think of it as a highway. But it's no different too. Like, there's a lot of deer hunters watching this too, and we've talked about this a little bit. Like, animal, like they all, whether it's a deer or fish or whatever, they all use contour changes and stuff to their advantage for whatever reason that may be, whether they're predator or prey, right? How many times we have a deer stand that we really like that's on the point of a big ridge, because it just creates a funnel. It creates a transition right there. And it's really cool because all of our lakes here in Texas are all reservoirs except for Caddo. So they all, if you think about it from that same perspective, it's really interesting to see how much similarities there are between the two. But so we have a man-made reservoir here. So if you think about it, before it was a lake, it really kind of helps you. If you go out in the woods and you look around and then you picture that under the water, it gives you a better idea of kind of how all that stuff ties in together. And so, these fish are using these drains for traveling from out in deeper water all the way up to the shallow spawning flats or places where they're feeding in the morning on gizzard shad that are going to be potentially spawning up there. And then they'll slide back out if they're not quite ready to spawn, and they'll go kind of do their thing out in the middle of the day. That's the $1 million question. If you can figure out where they go, and I think really they scatter a lot of times. But if you can figure out where they go at, and you can pick off one or two throughout the day using your Garmin live scope, then you can really have a chance of having a mega bag. But I wasn't really able to do that in this tournament. So that was kind of a piece of the puzzle that I guess I was missing.
So was your morning bite where you were putting most of your weight together?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Well, I did for sure on day 2 and day 3. So
Okay.
day 2, yeah, I left there with like I said, 3 7s, and I'm just rounding about. I had 3 7s and a 4 something. I didn't weigh the big ones, but I did weigh the small. I had a 4 something, and then I had 3 7s, and then I didn't catch another keeper until I don't know 12:30 or so.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I didn't go run keeper stuff either. Like I
Right.
knew at that point, like, hey, I need one more big bite to have a mega bag here. Let's go try to find an 8-pounder. So I ran more drains. I ran more brush. I ran, a lot of like high percentage, areas where I had a chance of catching a big one. And then finally, 12:30 or so, I rolled into an area with some hydrilla, and I caught, just a keeper to go with them, and weighed in one that was 2 pounds. So it was 114, 115. I only called once that day. I caught a couple keepers. I called a 114 for a 115.
Gotcha. So you did a tournament preparation seminar for us a couple years ago, Dakota. And in this pre-spawn time of year, in the preparation being your practice period, whatever that is, 3-4 day practice period, depending on the circuit you're fishing. In the pre-spawn, how much emphasis do you put on finding a good starting spot?
A lot, because, man, a lot of times in the pre-spawn, the fishing will get better throughout the day. But if you can find a place to really get, we didn't really see that in the Toyota series as much because the water was just so cold. Like, we were still we were in extreme cold conditions. We had extreme weather. But let's say in Florida here in a couple of weeks, right? Okay, so we're going to be dealing with a pre-spawn tournament, right? That's whenever most of us want to be on the water. Okay, it's warming up. It's nicer out. We don't, So for sake of conversation, if you can find an area where fish are congregating, where you can catch you a quick limit, or you can get 1 or 2 big bites early, hopefully you're going to have good weather, depending on the day. It's going to warm up as it goes. And the more that it warms up, that's whenever the fishing gets better and better and better. Because that's when those fish are going to start flooding the bank. They're going to start pulling up and sitting on structure, sitting on places where we can target them, potentially spawning. And so you have more and more opportunities as the day goes. But if you can figure out a way to catch a couple fish early in the morning, catch a couple nice ones, catch a limit, or I'm not ever a type of guy that really just goes fishing for a limit first, but if I can just go get 1 or 2 big bites or a limit and just settle me down a little bit to where I can let the day kind of happen and fish effectively and thoroughly throughout the day as it's warming up, and as those fish are moving up, I've got a chance to really put together a good day. But it's easy to just rush through everything if you feel like you're behind the 8 ball. So that's why it's so important to just have a good start to your day. It's either that, or you just have to have enough. And there are guys that can do it. There are guys that fish calm and comfortably all throughout the day, even if they don't have a limit. Or I think there are guys that can be out there at 12:30 with nothing in the box and still feel confident about the day, knowing that, hey, like, I'm gonna make it happen in the last hour. Me, I have a little bit higher anxiety level, and the wheels will start turning for me. So it's hard to fight that. Now, if you can do that, that's a great attribute to have. But most of us, if we're sitting there at 11:30 and we don't have nothing in the box, our wheels are starting to spin. And whenever your wheels start to spin, you make bad decisions.
Yeah.
And so that right there is what separates 90% of tournament anglers, because we all have the ability to go out there and catch some fish. And we all have the ability to go out there and catch them, especially on days when there's no pressure. So, and that's because we make good decisions when there's no pressure. So, if you can either learn to deal with the pressure and still make good decisions, or figure out a way to get a good start to the day and take some of that pressure away, either way, you can allow the day to kind of happen and put together a successful day by the end of it.
All right, now I'm going to take this to another level on you. I know we're talking pre-spawn, but do you feel like, all right, so in the pre-spawn, I feel like it is really, really, it's hard to get like a big bag if you don't start things off, at least decent. Like you said, put a couple fish in the boat early and then start using the improving condition throughout the day. Do you feel like other times a year you can almost get away with not having a great starting spot better than others? Like, because like the fall to me comes to mind if we're like, there's been days in the fall where it's like, you just steadily, incrementally work your way up to a big bag consistently. And like, do you think seasonally, does it change for you at all as far as like how important that starting spot is?
I think it depends on the fishery a lot. Down here, it seems like, man, like, well, after the spawn, you got the shad spawn going on, and post spawn bass are pretty hard to catch, except whenever you can catch them on a shad spawn sometimes. So that's yet again morning bites crucial. So, but you go somewhere up north where you're running boulders on Lake Ontario or something, that's a deal that you can put together a good bag throughout the course of the day. Heck, you might pull up on the right boulder at the right time at 1:30 in the afternoon and catch 28 pounds of smallmouth just like that. So it just depends on the fishery, really, honestly. And there's so many variables that go into that, whether the fishery itself, the conditions, the time of year, the decisions you make, your mental approach, all of that. There's just an unlimited amount of variables that go into that to really truthfully answer that question. But yeah, there are times for sure whenever you don't have to make it happen first thing in the morning, and the pre-spawn is probably a time where you can really do that. You just have to know that you have to stay patient and handle that pressure and make those right decisions later in the day whenever things might not have went that well in the morning, but as it warms up and the fishing gets better, you still make good decisions.
We've seen that over the years, and it's interesting. It's a really cool conversation. Even up in the freezing cold bodies of water that we have up north at ice out, doesn't matter. There is going to be a morning bite, right? There's going to be some activity level that man, you need to try to capitalize on it if you can. First thing, even in 30-degree water, low 40s. And then you go through these long extended periods where there's nothing. Like you can't make it happen, but you have to, like you said, you have to keep your head in the game and remember that, all right, this is early season pre-spawn. We're going to get an afternoon. The fish will go again when the water temperature is at its peak for the day.
Yeah. I say that, man, Florida is one of those places where you've got to stay mentally tough, because a lot of times the best fishing is after 2:00, in the afternoon. Now I've seen a morning bite in Florida too early. Like I've seen it when it just seems like they're biting a little bit, but you'll get that big lull, from 8:30 till it seems like forever, but noon or so, 12:30, and then all of a sudden it seems like, man, that sun gets high. Florida fish love sun, and they just start biting, and that's whenever it's so important to stay mentally tough and strong, and like just know that, like, man, just but man, and we talked about this in that tournament approach seminar that I did, but the biggest thing is keeping things in a perspective. Like, it's so easy to think that everybody around you is smashing them. Like, I think it's human nature to think, gosh dang, man, I'm freaking getting my butt kicked. Like, everybody around me smashing them. But, man, I don't care who it is, and I don't care where it's at. The same thoughts are going through pretty much all of them. Like, I don't care how cocky they may seem on live or this or that. The wheels get to turning at times in everybody's head. Everybody –
that's funny.
Here at Rayburn, man, people think that I'm just out there on them all the time and this and that. And I'm going to tell you right now, it looks a lot better on paper at the end of the day, 95% of the time, than it did out there on the water. I might come in with a big bag, but that don't mean that it was easy. And that don't mean that, everything was just working for me that day. There was probably more things that went wrong than they went right, but I just kept my pace, kept confident, kept casting, kept making good decisions. So you just got to keep that into perspective. Like, man, if it's tough on you, it's probably tough on everybody else.
Heck yeah.
Like,
yes.
and you're here for a reason. Like, be confident in yourself and your decision making. If it's tough on you, it's probably tough on everyone else. So be tougher than them, be mentally tougher than them, make good decisions, and you'll end up where you need to end up at the end of the day.
I love that, Rich. That's amazing. It's tough on everybody, but you just got to be a little bit tougher than them, and that'll get you. That's a good comment. We got to post that. We're gonna use that one on social. We'll use that quote. But the other one is like you talked about Florida, and this one is been that has sunk me and a lot of guys that have attempted to fish Florida. Is you got to be mentally tough to hang in there with 8 pounds in the live well, because you need that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pounder.
Yep.
And you just gotta keep grinding through 12-inch fish. That's one of the hardest mental games to play, is because Florida fish are like that.
It is, and I was right there in about as bad of a situation as you can be in on the first open right out of the gates last year. Our first open was at Okeechobee last year, and on day one, I was in the area where Scott Martin caught that giant bag. I stayed in there all day, and I knew what I was doing. Like, man, I knew what I was around. I just wasn't making it happen, and I broke off like a really big one early, lost maybe another pretty big one, and then it just went like I started fishing too fast, and I started just kind of rushing through it. The pressure and everything started building on me. At the end of the day, I've got 8 pounds or whatever I had, and here I am in 130-something place or whatever in the first Bassmaster Open of the year after I just left the Bass Pro Tour. So, like, you talk about pressure and you talk about being, in a situation. So then fast forward day 2, I go back to the area because I know what lived there. I mean, I know what's going on. These fish are spawning all over the place and there's giants everywhere. But man, hats off to Scott for what he did in the middle of 90-something boats. I mean, it was unbelievable, but he was just really, really dialed in. He was really confident on his decision making and what he was doing. He also was in a position where he's fishing an open. He's already qualified for the elite, so he was able. And I'm gonna go ahead and paint this picture here. Here's Scott, and I don't want to speak out of terms here, but I know what went down there. Like, Scott was in a position where, man, I'm fishing this open. I really don't have anything to lose. I'm fishing the elites. I'm already qualified. I'm here at home. I know what's going to win this tournament, and I don't care if I don't catch a limit until 3 o'clock and I got to be in at 3:15. I'm going to go do it. So he took that mindset to what he went. He was so confident in what he did that he was able to make it happen in the middle of 95 other boats and absolutely blew the tournament away. So that just goes to show how being focused and confident and understanding like the process can be. Like, that shows the power of the mind and being dialed in and confident in what you're doing. Transfer that over to me. I've got the whole world against me. I've got the pressure of making the decision to try to qualify for the elites on me and all this other stuff that I'm dealing with, just like every other Opens EQ angler there. I bombed day 1. Day 2, it's 12:30 in the afternoon, and I've got like 4 bass for like 7 pounds. I mean, I am on the verge for absolutely bombing the Okeechobee event. It's 12:30 in the afternoon. And I very easily could have killed my season right there. But I'm thankful to the good Lord above for me having the faith, I guess, to know, like, man, if this is meant to be, it's going to happen. Make a good decision here. Like, calm down, take a deep breath. I did that. I left that area. I ran like 30 minutes up the lake. I pulled out a frog, went to, a different kind of pattern that I thought might work. And I caught a 4.5 at 8-something and a 4.5 pretty much back to back to back. And that decision right there made my entire year. Like, if I don't make that decision, I don't qualify for the elites. And I made that decision at 12:30 in the afternoon on day 2 of the Open whenever I'm dang near in last place. But it proves your point to say, like, pre-spawn, those fish, we were coming off a cold front. Mm-hmm. Those fish were kind of sluggish in the morning. There were some that were still locked on beds, but the rest of them were pretty daggum sluggish until late in the day. And so late in the day, the stars aligned. I went and threw a frog, We were on a warming trend, and it made my entire season right there in that moment. So it just, you've got to keep moving. You got to stay positive. You got to figure out a way to dig down deep, make good decisions, take a few chances, but trust those chances, trust those decisions that you make, and you give yourself a chance. Does it always work out that way? No, it doesn't. You know, there are events. Look at me at Leech Lake. I bombed the event, you know, and I was in like 5th place after day 1. But I took another chance. Instead of going catch largemouth, I took a chance at going try to catch another big bag of smallmouth and winning the event, and I bombed. I wouldn't go back and probably change what I did because I was fishing aggressively and I was doing what I felt like I needed to do to have a chance to win. But that's an example of when it didn't work out for me. You know, Okeechobee is an example of when it did. And we all know that at times fishing, sometimes it's just not going to work out, but you just got to keep your head up and keep on going.
Man, what a great call. 8-pounder on a frog and just get those 3 giants. That was amazing. And shout out to Scott Martin. They just replayed this weekend. I happened to catch it. I think Saturday morning. They replayed his Okeechobee win, and watching him catch those spawners, you know, off of sonar. One in particular, you could see it. But like you said, he knew what to do. And while all the guys had small stringers in the area, he was moving like a sloth and taking his time and, you know, waiting out those big Florida bass. That was that was a tremendous win, tremendous show watching him catch it, you know.
Yeah, it really was.
Power poles were invented in Florida, designed in Florida, and you got to use them in Florida.
Yeah, dang right. Yep. At times that makes it even harder because, you know, like, man, it's again, it's a timing thing, and the timing in Florida, you know, you just never know. So it's like you could fish right over those fish and never even get a bite. And somebody could pull in there 30 minutes after you and just fish a little bit slower than you and catch a giant bag of fish.
Yeah, that's amazing. Talking about these decisions you made that was your best decision of the year. The pressure's cooking. The worst day of this year at the Opens, the maximum amount of anxiety and pressure on you. Compare that to when they open the gate on when you're on the back of a bull. Which one is more extreme?
Man, no, the fishing deal was more extreme in a way for me. Like it was I mean, like, your adrenaline and everything's pumping whenever you're in the arena and stuff. And it's just a different feeling. It's a different kind of adrenaline, you know. It's like, I don't know. It's just different. There's nothing that I've ever done that compared to that kind of adrenaline and that channel of emotion. But you've got to learn. I think that my time that I spent in the arena helped me, now that I'm making a living off the front deck of a boat, because in order to be successful in that type of environment, in bull riding and rodeo and in saddle bronc riding and all that stuff, like, you have to be able to channel your emotions in a positive way, right? You still got to be able to function under extreme amount of pressure and emotion and adrenaline. The guys that are successful at riding bulls for a living, it's not that they're not scared. It's not that they don't face, you know, that they don't have like some level of fear at some point in time, because they all do. But they're able to channel that in a positive direction, and they're able to perform better under that pressure, right? And so I had to learn to do that as a bullfighter. As a bullfighter, when everything goes to hell, that's when it's time for you to do your job. You know, whenever a guy falls off and he gets hung up, that's whenever it is the most important time for you to be able to do your job effectively and efficiently, whenever everything else goes wrong. And so, and I felt like it was my obligation. It was my responsibility, without a shadow. Like that was my responsibility to keep those guys safe when everything else went wrong, and whenever they fell off in a bad spot or got hung up. So being able to deal with that pressure, then that's pretty, you know, making a decision on the front deck of a bass boat whenever somebody else's life is not in your hands. That's a little bit easier of a decision to make, right? So dealing with the pressure of the arena has helped me deal with the pressure of making decisions on the front deck of a bass boat.
Rich, you heard it here. In order for us to get to the next level, we got to become bullfighters.
I'm in. Let's go.
I believe he would. I think he would.
We'll see
he
about
seems like yeah, dude. You're gonna be at the Classic. I guarantee we can get you up there at Billy Bob's and probably
come on with
it, dude. Yeah, you're an adrenaline guy, man. You got that look, dude. You do some crazy stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, my time has passed on that, but I'll
come on, Pete.
I'll root you on, Rich. That's awesome. Well, I wanted to go back because you said something that was interesting. I'm taking us back to Rayburn at the Toyota Series. You talked about the jig head minnow, the winner using it in a way that wasn't what you think it was. What do you mean by that?
Man, I didn't win, so I can't give you that juice. And I really don't. And I'm not the type of guy, like, I didn't ask Brody when we were sitting across, at the weigh-in tank, kind of talking a little bit, chatting or whatever, but I don't ask any questions like that. I don't, it's just not my place, not my deal. Unless it's somebody that I'm really, really close with. And I mean, I like Brody a lot. He's a good dude, good kid. And Brody has really earned that win. He spent a lot of time here at Rayburn. I've seen him around for the last several years, putting a ton of time on the water, and it all paid off for him. Like he's like, man, I just got lucky. He's like, I wasn't really on anything, and I stumbled upon that right there at the end of practice, and whatever. And I said, nah, man, you really didn't, because yeah, you might have stumbled upon it, but you put in enough time over the last couple of years in this lake that allowed you to stumble upon that. It's just it doesn't just happen. It's not, even whenever it feels like it's luck at times. Man, it's all about putting time in the water, and he's definitely done that. So I have, we kind of briefly, chatted about it, and I didn't ask any questions. I have an idea probably how he did it, but that ain't my place to talk about because it wasn't my win. So
sure it is. Go ahead. We absolve you from any wrongdoing. I'm just at Bass University. That's our job to ask that question, right? So
I understand. No, I do.
We'll get him on here and ask him that question. But that was
that's right. Yeah, get Brody on there. Yeah, it'll be good.
Yep. Well, you're coming from you fish the opens all year with the 5 fish coming out of the Bass Pro. Every fish counts. What are your thoughts on those two? I mean, are you moving to Bass because you like the 5 fish format better, or is that the reason why you came over? What are your thoughts on that format?
Listen, man, I fished the Bass Pro Tour actually with both different, like there was a year we fished where we were doing best 5 catch, weigh, release.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, and then we did the every fish counts as well too. So I've been on both sides of that deal. And I mean, really, I fished my whole career on 5 fish until I qualified for the Bass Pro Tour. We did every fish counts one year. Then we went to 5 fish, and then they went back to every fish counts. What I'll say is, first of all, hats off and congratulations to Justin Cooper on his win at Conroe. I'm sure we all saw that. Man, Justin is a great dude. He's working with Bass Pro Shops and XPS now, so just really happy to see him having success. He's got him a little girl and a wife and everything. So, man, I know this win meant a lot to him, and congratulations to him on that win. I watched some of that, man, because Colby Miller and I are buddies, and so is Coop and I. So just seeing them competing against each other down to the wire like that was really exciting, man. I mean, I think it was a great deal. Watching those two guys battle it out right there at the end of Conroe. So the format is exciting, man. It really is. I mean, because the pressure never ends. Like, you can't go catch 35 pounds. You can't go catch 5-7 pounders first thing in the morning and then, be feeling good about yourself the rest of the day. Like, but with the every fish counts format, the pressure never stops building because guys can always catch up. But I will say, so the format's fun. It's exciting to watch. I get all that. But what I will say is that I prefer a 5 fish format,
Mm-hmm.
and I prefer that because I don't like being forced to fish a certain type of way to catch numbers. Now, Bass Pro Tour has limited forward-facing sonar to only one period, so there's that. But you just take the Toledo Bend example last year for. I knew that you were going to have to fish a certain type of way, probably throw a minnow all day, to have a chance to win that event. And man, I like throwing a crankbait. I like throwing a big glide bait at times. I like throwing a jig. I don't want to have to fish for numbers at times. Like, I want to be able to, power fish my way if I can, or even if I'm throwing a drop shot, I'm still power fishing it probably. And I like to target, bigger quality fish, and the 5-fish format suits that better. And so that's my only preference, I guess you would say, to the formats.
Awesome. Well, you're going to get a chance to go up against all the other elites. What lakes, bodies of water are you looking forward to this year?
Man, I look forward to all of them, truthfully. I always enjoy traveling, and I've never been the type of guy that really wants to stay here around the house and just fish tournaments at Rayburn. That's why I've traveled as much as I have over the last, 8 years of my career. So I enjoy the challenge of every fisher that we go to. I like going to new places. So the tournament in North Carolina there, I can't even pronounce the name of that place, Albemarle Sound or whatever it is, wherever the heck we're going. I'm looking forward to that. That's a place I've never been. So that'll be exciting, man. It's always exciting to go somewhere new. I haven't been to the St. Johns River in several years. I've only been there once since 2018. It's changed a lot since then. So that'll be like almost a new fishery. But really, I think we have a great schedule. It's going to be a bunch of really good events, and I'm looking forward to all of them.
Well, we are looking forward to watching you soar over there at the Elites. It's going to be a fun year this year. It's going to be interesting. They I think, purposefully moved some bodies of water around so forward-facing wouldn't be as prevalent out there on the tournament trail. But it's going to be fun watching you. And all of Dakota's content is available at Bass University right now. Well, two seminars that you did for us at our Texas event, which is dealing with the spawn and forward-facing sonar. So that stuff's going to be released on Bass University TV real soon. So I appreciate you, giving us the goods and taking care of our class. You did a great job at Bass University. Look forward to seeing those seminars released. I think you guys are going to love those. I look forward to cheering you on at the Elites. And before one quick question before we let you go, Chiefs or Eagles?
Man, my girlfriend is from Missouri, and she is a huge Chiefs fan. And if I don't root for the Chiefs, it's not going to be a very good mood around here. So I go Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I like Patrick Mahomes too. I think he's a good dude, and seems like he's a good fella. So I like he's always giving God the glory, and I can respect that. And so look, I'm not. I hate to. I know y'all are both Eagles fans. I heard all that. I know y'all, but look. There's a little redhead running around here about 100 pounds that's going to be real ticked off if Chiefs don't win. She'll be mad about that probably all the way to Florida. So I hope they win for that sake.
I can certainly appreciate your dilemma. And Josh, I know you're listening, make sure you send 2 Eagles jerseys to Dakota
Stir that pot.
Hey. Well, good luck this year, buddy. Thanks again for all you do for Bass University. We'll be rooting you on, and hope you have a great season.
You bet, guys. Thank you all for having me.
Thanks, Dakota.
Dakota Ebare, everybody. Going to keep tearing it up, Rich. He just knows how to get it done, and you can hear it in the way that he talks about decision-making and all that. Of course, I don't think bullfighting is in my future. Do you?
Yeah, I don't know. I would definitely definitely do it. Not gonna lie, we'll see how things go at at the Classic. You never know. I'm not gonna rule it out. So, last time I got an experience of Texas, I wouldn't say that bull, getting in a cage with a bull or a wild boar is too far out of the equation. So we'll see what happens. But Pete, going back to one of the early things that Dakota mentioned in that interview that really stood out to me was during his practice period, the weather and the wind had a huge effect on how he was able to or unable to effectively practice areas of the lake. And I know I've done it in the past where I have tried to force things in areas where the weather was not right or the conditions weren't right. And that can destroy your confidence. And I mean, subconsciously, you'll write things off. You'll make decisions based on, a negative experience that you just had trying to make something work that really, if you look back on it, it wasn't going to work. And man, I'm going to keep that in mind this year as far as, approaching tournaments and taking, if things aren't setting up right to practice something for that day, don't mess with it. Go do something more productive and come back to that area in the tournament for an hour, for 2 hours, whatever it takes. But that really stood out to me early on. In that interview of that was a key decision that he didn't check on one of his key areas in practice at all. He waited until the tournament to go look because it was right. So
I get that. And we deal with that a lot on our body because we got those shallow grass beds, and if the wind's hammering, and your area is not protected, you can't practice there. You can't even look there because it's going to be muddied up or have action on it, and you have to anticipate. But that's that was a great observation for what he was talking about. But guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We got the sub of the week and some other cool stuff coming up, so we'll be right back after this.
We're off the clock to clock more fish, to fill our live wells and empty our coolers, because there's more to explore. The latest Humminbird fish finders work fast, see clearly, and know all the best spots. They fish even smarter paired with the Minn Kota and break down the water like never before. If you like your plans loose and lines tight, then it's time to explore. Only with Humminbird. Get right to the fight. New Mega Live 2 forward-facing sonar puts you on more fish with an ultra-clear, rock-solid picture of underwater action. Next-gen clarity, next-level fun. Only with Humminbird.
Right here, AquaView, mandatory equipment in my boat. I say it all the time. The smallmouths hide in the cracks in the rocks, and just saw a little bit of the same kind of rock with the cracks in it. And I realized that I had to put a bait down there. You wouldn't, idle over them and see them on your screen. You had to put a bait down there and suck them out of the rock. So, AquaView, big assist on this one.
And outdoors, Bassmaster Classic champion,
Coffee. The angler's ritual. A reason to leave your cozy covers, even if you aren't headed to the river. We started Angler's Coffee because, well, we love to fish, we love coffee, and we care. Think of it as the rise before the rise.
Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out doing a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming Series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
Mother Nature may be tough. I'm tougher. I'll take you where chaos is the cost of entry and where the fish are worth the fight. Because the bigger the question marks, the better the quest.
Welcome back, everybody. What a great guest, what a great angler, and we're talking about the pre-spawn. A question came across seawalls. Kusa wants to know seawalls good for the pre-spawn, and I would say in that, just to answer that question, yeah, there are times when the fish really set up on them. Something that's really key about seawalls, there's a heck of a lot of spawning that goes on around the seawalls, and the fish like to put their beds right next to them in a lot of the bodies of water around the country. One of the cool patterns that I found is that docks always break up a seawall, not always, but in a lot of places around the country, and those docks will be excellent pre-spawn staging areas prior to the fish getting out into the sun and making their beds on the actual seawall. So seawalls are definitely something to be concentrating on in and around the spawn, no matter where you are around the country. But great question. Really, some really cool stuff, guys. We were at the Great American Outdoor Show. I want to show you guys some of the cool stuff that Jake picked out while he was there. There was, I mean, a lot of interesting things. The thump gel was one that had a big booth there. Of course, Jake was all over the thump gel and had to get him some of that. It's so fun to watch Jake look at some of this stuff for the first time and what you get excited about. But it was all about the swim baits at the show, guys. The glide baits, a lot of really cool stuff. But this is check this one out. This is Savage Gear. This was his. I think this is his biggest swim bait, but this is a golden shiner. I bet you that baby's about 7 feet long. So a lot of glides. He had to pick up some of the Fritz side crankbaits, which are going to be great in the pre-spawn. And you got some power baits. And I want to thank everybody because it was so cool. Like Jake and Max were walking through the show, and a lot of the vendors were hooking them up with a pack of worms or some free stuff. So keep that in mind, guys. If you want to go and get some free stuff at the show, make sure you wear your jersey. Check this.
That looks weird.
Heck is that?
Do you guys know? Have you guys seen this one yet, Jocelyn?
It looks like a grumpy fish.
A grumpy fish. It does look grumpy. What'd you call it, Rich?
That's a reel down glide bait, right?
I think it looks like a wake bait because the lip is so vertical.
Yeah.
But it might be a wake bait. This is a Sherpa mini gill. But that's one of the cool baits that Jake picked up, one of those articulated baits. But had a lot of fun over there. I'm really disappointed Dakota's a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, but I know a lot of people are. But
well, let's give him. He has to be. He's obligated to be because his girlfriend is a mega fan. He doesn't want it.
Of Taylor Swift or the Chiefs?
Of the
Chiefs.
Of the Chiefs. Yeah, Josh, I think we need.
By the way, Jeff Olson says hello.
Shout out Jeff Olson and the Clyde side.
Yep. Well, do we have a sub of the week?
Yeah, man. Sub of the week this week is going to Brooks, of course, and Hudson. Shout out the Montebello boys.
Did they win something?
Nope. This is an older picture, but just wanted to give Brooks some love.
Yep. I know that they're going to be busy at Montebello. They keep those kids running and gunning, and Brooks is doing really well down there, as all those kids do so good when they attend that school. But I don't know. I taught Brooks how to flip and pitch and Carolina rig and crankbait, and I don't think I'm ever going to get him back on the bank again.
Nope.
I think I've lost him to the abyss of the ping and a minnow scenario.
Ping and the minnow.
Ping and a minnow. Guys, we're gonna be at the Classic. Hope you guys come down to see us. That's going to be at Conroe, or not Conroe. That's where they were just at. We're going to be at Ray Roberts.
Oh, Ray Roberts.
Yeah, we're gonna. It's at Fort Worth Convention Center. Is that where we're going?
Yes.
Ray Bob.
Any
Deal.
do you guys have any predictions on who's going to win that classic yet? We don't have to put our names in yet, do we?
I feel like during the seminars, everyone felt pretty competent.
You still got to join the fantasy group, PG. Just putting that out there. I know you're scared after last year, but so far it's only me and the Rizzler in the private Bass U chat. Anybody can join our Bass University fantasy fishing group if you want. Prize to the winner at the end of the year. I think there's like 600 or 700 people in it, so get in there. I got Lee winning classic.
That's a solid pick.
After his seminar, I agree.
Who do you got for the classic?
Lee.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good time.
Lee.
Yeah.
Might end up doing bull riding if that happens. Never know.
We got to see that. We got to sign you up too, Justin. You got to give it a go.
I'll get in there, man. Come on.
Look at that, Jocelyn. You?
I've done it. Not a pretty sight.
You said you've done it?
I've done like the mechanical bull, not an actual bull.
A real live bull.
Would you do an actual real live bull?
Yeah. I got my hockey helmet right here. Throw that puppy on. Let's ride. That's what they use anyway. Come on.
All right.
Oh my God.
I need to go to see that.
Next live show, I need to see you wearing your hockey.
I'll pull it out and put it on for the start of the next live show. You can book it.
Brother, you need to bring that thing next time you ride in the bus with Jeff.
Yeah, I know. I wish I brought it. Holy, that would have been a good call.
You got it. You got to wear that on the show floor at the classic, man.
It might smell terrible, but that's all right. I'll put it on.
You got to bring your hockey stick. You can just reach out and grab people from the crowd.
I'll wear my gear head to toe. I'll be walking around in skates and everything.
Oh, we should definitely get skates. That'd be fun.
Not for me. Not for me.
Took a left turn, but we're here for it.
Well, what is our release we've got this week at Bass University?
Bill Lowen, man. Finesse Jigs and Mega Live 2.
Is that coming out this week? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I know we were in editing with that. I know we talked about it at length and working on it. That was our first real look at Mega Live 2, and we were working with Bill and his finesse jigs, and the clarity of that system was just off the charts. So and so it's so interesting though, because we were working with the Humminbird group there, and we have brand new Mega Live 2 out, and we thought we'd go out on the end of points or deep brush, but of course, in true Bill Lowen style, he brought us to the back of the creek to look at blow down trees and catch some fish that way. So that was very, very cool.
Yeah, there's some real good footage on there if anybody wants to take a look at Mega Live 2 in action. It's definitely a good one to check out. And then we got next week or the week after, we have really cool Dakota Ebare big Swimbait seminar coming out. And there's some really cool footage in that one. So, yep. Will be a good one.
I know the schedules. We're working on our schedule now. Jake's going to be taking on the high school fishing this year. I'm going to jump in the open if they'll have me, and maybe cherry pick a Toyota, maybe cherry pick a BFL. I'm not sure. I'm still working on some things. Jake and I are talking about jumping in some of the team tournaments on the Chesapeake. We're also looking at some of the team tournaments up in New York.
You guys go up to New York and just stay up there. We don't need you on the bay taking lunker from Rich and I again.
I still have we're saving our money from our winnings for Jake's first boat. So
there you go.
Yeah, we got to fill that envelope up a little further.
Or you could just win the Pro-Am.
Or just win the Pro.
And then that could be Jake's first boat.
Yeah. Perfect first boat. Bass Cat with a Yamaha on the back.
That might be a little bit too fast of a first boat. That thing probably moves.
I know. Knowing Jake, I got to put the brakes on him. But what have you guys, Rich? Have you decided exactly what you're fishing next year?
I have decided. I signed up for the Open last week. I'm currently waitlisted, but I am optimistic that I'll get in. I sent an email to the angler notifications page at Bass, and they're going to be updating the list this week. So I'm optimistic that I'll get in that. Obviously, fishing everything that comes through the bay. That's predominantly that's going to be the Chester County Trail, the Susquehanna Flats Trail, the SummerSlam, and then the Ike Foundation tournament, obviously. And then I am going to fish the entire Northeast division of the BFLs. I came to the realization from what I learned last year doing the Toyota series, 3-day practice, multi-day event. Pretty much looking back at every tournament, I could look back and see that if I would have taken everything that I had from those practice periods and burned it to the ground in a one-day tournament, I think I would have done pretty well. So I'm going to take that and then essentially just take a step back this year back into the BFLs, but commit to the whole schedule. Try to qualify for the regional and everything that comes with that, and then also cherry pick the Toyota on the Potomac in September. I fished a BFL down on the Potomac in September of this year. I unlocked some things. I really, really got confident in a dominant pattern down there for the fall. So I'm going to cherry pick that Toyota Potomac as well. But just home field on the bay, BFLs, and cherry pick the Open and the Yoda.
But BFLs is a great choice, man. You got the All-American that you can get to. Is the regionals on the Potomac again?
The regional is on the James. So another reason to go hard on that trail. Tidal water brings some level of comfortability. I've never been to the James. From what I understand, I think I would be able to make heads and tails of it. And like I said, having that comfortability of fishing tidal water, it just makes sense. So that's kind of where I'm at with things. So,
Dustin, what are you doing?
Man, as of right now, I'm going to be ripping the club that I'm fishing. We got a bunch of opens on the bay, so I'm going to do the club stuff out of my boat, and I'm going to do the SFT trail out of my boat with Jared Fantini will be my co-angler.
Yeah, Bass Tech Sonar, let's go.
Yep. So Jared, man, I think he'll be a great co-angler. He always brings a good lunch when you go out fishing with him. And if something were to happen to my boat, he would probably be able to fix it on the spot. 100%. So, and he can catch fish. And then me and Rich are going to fish the Chester County trail, and I'll obviously fish the SummerSlam and the Ike Foundation. And I probably won't get – if Rich is already waitlisted, I'm probably not going to end up getting in the Open, unfortunately. But you never know. Maybe we'll see what everything's looking like come May or so. I'll probably be around when I make my decision on that. But if I don't fish the Open, I'll probably fish a BFL or the BFL in Champlain, I think. That interests me a little bit. So
we are hardcore fishing at this group. Jocelyn, what's your tournament schedule look like this year?
All the above.
The Ike Foundation.
Yes.
Jocelyn will be my co-angler.
Josh, is the kids trail happening for the foundation again this year?
It is.
Are they back at Lum's Pond again?
Lum's is one of them. Alloway is another one. Right. I'm going to butcher this, but I think it's called like BDD or DOD. DOD.
I've heard good things about Alloway.
Mm-hmm. It's got a lot of fish in it, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think so. We're just waiting for the permitting to come through. So as soon as we know, we'll announce them.
Pete, you said you're gonna cherry pick a Toyota?
Yeah, that's my plan. I'd love to.
Man, we got our group last year. We should just pick one and go do it. You know, that was fun. Last year, our crew.
Yep. Well, we're
sometime.
The Potomac, right?
Yeah, in September. Yeah. I mean, if everybody's in on that, I would do it.
Yeah.
I think you guys just need to throw me in a tournament. I'll be a co-angler.
Come on.
That's perfect. The Toyotas still have codes. So, you know what? You know, it's interesting. If we do, the Potomac is the BS a 2-day down there, but after August, Jake is 16.
He could fish as a co for that Toyota.
He could jump in as a co. I'm going to put my schedule. Hopefully, I'll have my schedule by the next time we talk finalized, and look forward to it. There was only like 160 boats at the first Open.
Yeah.
This year, so I don't think they're not full. But I think you're automatically waitlisted for whatever reason. But let's see. Maybe it's full.
Yeah, I mean, if there was only 160 at the first one, you would imagine you'd be able to get into
the back. Like I said, I'm optimistic that
you're going to get in for sure. I'm just thinking about me and PG, the last minute guys. You know.
Yep. Yeah. I wish I could have fit. I'd still love to get up there and jump in the Thousand Islands tournament. I want to fish up there this year, for sure. But anyway, big thanks to Dakota Ebare for hanging out with us today. Thank you guys for everything. Thank you, Anglers Coffee and Aquaview and Humminbird and Minn Kota for being part of the program. And also, big announcement, Tackle Warehouse. All of our links are hot to Tackle Warehouse. So all the tackle that everybody's talking about is going to be readily available for everybody to access. Want to welcome Tackle Warehouse. They have every size, every color, every lure, every maker. It all exists there. So make sure you check that out. All those links will be getting hot over the next several weeks. So look for that. We're going to try to make it easy for you guys. The things that Dakota and all the great anglers in the world talk about, we're going to try to make it easy for you guys to access if you want to get them. And look forward to working with you guys, Tackle Warehouse. And look for a lot more stuff coming from Bass University. We're going to be at the Classic, like I said before. And I want to thank everybody for watching. And we'll catch everybody next week at another edition of Bass University Live. Go Eagles!
Yay.
Go